now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band, Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. Speaker Pro Tem Lee will now take it away with first roll call.
Welcome back. Happy KU Hate Week. Alvarez.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Biswell.
Here.
Brown Logan.
Here.
Brown Wyatt.
Here.
Carey.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Dominguez.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Freeman.
Here.
George.
Here.
Griffith. Guru Shanker.
Here.
Halstead.
Here by proxy.
Heller.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Holmes.
Here.
Kramer. Karina Rothna.
Here.
Kraus. Oh, okay, great. Jacobson.
Here.
Hassan Shakib. Oh, gotcha. Landwehr.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Loeb. Licky.
Here.
Mitchell. Olingunju.
Here.
Otto.
Here.
Pena.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Palenko Castro. Potter.
Here by proxy.
for Castro.
Okay. Prey. Sorry. Oh, Rafferty.
Here.
Richburg.
Here.
Richenberg.
Here.
Rogers. Rudd.
Here.
Scarborough.
Here.
Shellhaze.
Here.
Shirky.
Here.
Shasavari.
Here.
Solis.
Proxy.
Springer.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Till.
Here.
Trump.
Here.
Zacko.
Here.
And I'm Woodley. Okay, for proxies, I have on our list Brown for Barnes, Erickson for Glasscock, Sushanik for Benson, Landwehr for Potter, for Jacobson for Holzmeister, and Richenberg for Hoppen. I'm aware that there are some others, but yeah, what's up?
Zacko for Rogers also.
Zacko for Rogers, okay.
Iswell for Halstead.
Okay, and Phil?
Shirky for Solace.
Okay. What's up, Ben? Yeah. Oh, Ben? Yeah?
Oh, that was a mistake.
Oh, okay. What's up? Yeah.
Did someone already say for Castro? I'm supposed to be doing.
You okay? Yeah, no worries. I just want to make sure. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, we will now move into our first open period. Are there any first open period speakers? All right, none. We will move into the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Chair Shirky.
I move to approve the minutes unanimously.
Second. Any objections? All right, the minutes stand approved. All right, for announcements this evening, member at-large applications still open. Continue to share that application with your friends. The link to streamline communication to the communications agency is still linked in the announcements. And then additionally, the Kansas Board of Regents adopted a goal of updating its strategic plan this year. So as part of that effort, they are holding virtual focus groups with a small group of K-State students to gain some feedback on some of their initiatives. If that's something that you're interested in serving on, please let me know by noon tomorrow. The group will meet on Thursday, November 13th on Zoom from 5:30 to 6:15. So if that's something you're interested in, please make sure you email me. And then finally, this week we are recognizing Senator Christian Pena for his amazing work in strengthening intercaucus connections and fostering community beyond Wildcat Chamber. From organizing fun gatherings to bringing people together across colleges, his efforts have made Senate feel more collaborative. Thank you, Christian. Okay, and then finally, our quote for this week: use power to help people, for we are given power not to advance our own purposes, nor to make a great show in the world, nor a name. There is but one just use of power, and it is to serve people. George W. Bush. Okay, so we will now move into our commendations for the evening. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 252626, the commendation to the 2025 student ambassadors? Chair Shirkey.
I move to consider Resolution 26.
Second.
Any objections? Will the author please come forward?
Okay, Resolution 252626, commendation to the 2025 student ambassadors. Authors Zoe Pudens, sponsors Brady Kappelman, Delaney Hunley, Katie Albertson, Josh Moppin, Jack O'Malley, Stephen Watson, Musa Gatko, Audrey Byers, Jolie Herzl, Johnny McIlvain, Maria Velasco, Mohammed Elia Davudi, Vivian Griffith, Cooper Hillman, Lucy Knopik, Eric Chaplin, Emily Belmont, Matthew Hendricks, Demi Idowu, Samuel Burton, Kylie Temple, Lauren Wolter, Benji Carton, and Evelyn Ediger. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association celebrates the hard work and dedication of the 2025-2026 student ambassadors, Emily Jones and Dalton Simmer. Whereas throughout their year-long term, the student ambassadors represent the student body at Alumni Association events throughout the state and in various capacities at university events. Whereas the student ambassadors serve on the Student Alumni Board and the Student Homecoming Committee while continuing to assist with Alumni Association programming. Whereas the Student Ambassador program began in 1977, making Emily Jones and Dalton Simmer the 48th representatives of the Ambassador program. And whereas the 2026 Student Ambassador election took place Thursday, October 9th, making Abby Taylor and Remy Baldock the newly elected ambassadors. Be it resolved that Section 1, KSU SGA celebrates and commends the accomplishments of the 2025 student ambassadors, Emily Jones and Dalton Simmer, and extends its best wishes to the 2026 student ambassadors, Abby Taylor and Remy Baldock, for a successful year ahead. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to outgoing student ambassadors Dalton Simmer and Emily Jones, incoming student ambassadors Abby Taylor and Remy Baldock, Association Director of Alumni Programs Joshua Diaz de Leon, Associate Director of Student Programs Tammy Redding, President and CEO of the Alumni Association Adam Walker, and University President Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Rudd.
On line 14, should it be 2024, 2025 instead of 25, 26?
Yes. Are there any other questions or corrections for the author? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 26 unanimously? Senator Otto.
I move to approve Resolution 26 unanimously.
Second.
Any objections? All right, Resolution 27 stands approved. Do you guys want to get a picture? Yeah. Next up, we have Resolution 28, commendation to Power Cat Motor, or 27, I'm sorry, wait. Okay, yeah. Resolution 28, is there a motion to consider Resolution 28? Senator Rudd.
I move to consider resolution 28 and allow the author to summarize.
Second.
Okay, are there any objections? Will the author please come forward?
Hi, I want to make sure everyone knows about the team's performance, so I don't think I'm going to summarize the commendation because it gives a lot of information about how good the team performed this year. So, Resolution 25, 26, 28, authors Jacob Mitchell, sponsors Jordan Kramer, Philip Shirky. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association strives to recognize and commend the exemplary work of fellow university students. Whereas PowerCat Motorsports is an interdisciplinary team within the Carl R. Ice College of Engineering that brings together students from a wide range of academic backgrounds, including mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, pre-med, architecture, news and sports media, industrial engineering, computer science, and business. Whereas the PowerCat Motorsports team competes in the Formula SAE Michigan competition, a prestigious international event that tests students' ability to design, build, and race a fully functional race car. Whereas PowerCat Motorsports achieved its best ever finish in team history at the 2025 Formula SAE Michigan competition, placing 4th overall out of 120 universities from 3 different continents, continuing their three-year streak of consecutively improving finishes. Whereas the team's performance included a 3rd place finish in the business presentation event, marking the first time the team has advanced to the final round of the competition. Whereas PowerCat Motorsports also demonstrated exceptional engineering and durability by placing 3rd in the 10-mile endurance race, an event that nearly half of the competing teams failed to compete. Whereas the team's commitment to hands-on experience and professional development is exemplified by its strong ties with industry partners, with many members securing internships and full-time jobs with team sponsors. Whereas the skills gained by team members extend beyond engineering and manufacturing to include project management, marketing, and business, providing a valuable professional experience. Whereas PowerCat Motorsports has a significant impact on the university's reputation, as evidenced by their feature in the K-State ad campaign and their presence at university-wide events like Wildcat Wednesday at the K-State Fair. Whereas PowerCat Motorsports also hosted its own successful regional competition in Manhattan for 2 consecutive years, inviting other teams from the Midwest and further establishing Kansas State University as a hub for engineering excellence. Whereas the team's journey to achieve its best ever finish was captured in a documentary filmed by current and former team members, showcasing the group's perseverance through engineering challenges and their commitment to excellence. Whereas the dedication and hard work of PowerCat Motorsports members provide a prime example of the exceptional quality and hands-on learning opportunities available within the Carl R. Ice College of Engineering. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, commends PowerCat Motorsports for their exceptional performance and high placement at their national competition. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to Head of the Mechanical and Nuclear Engineering Department, Dr. Stephen J. Eccles, Head of the Electrical Engineering Department, Dr. Sami Khan, Head of the Industrial Engineering Department, Dr. Xing Chang, Interim Dean of the College of Engineering, Dr. Bradley Kramer, Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Thomas Lane, and Kansas State University President, Dr. Richard Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Lilly.
I've got a couple corrections.
Do it slowly. I can take notes.
Oh, I think my computer is dying. Line 15 and 16, Society of Automotive Engineers needs to be outside the parentheses. SAE is in it. On lines 20, 23, and 27. 4th should be spelled out, 3rd should be spelled out, and 3rd should be spelled out. 48, there's a comma, there should be a semicolon.
Right before the and.
Yeah. 58, there's a semicolon, there should be a period.
Okay.
That's it.
And remind me for the SAE parentheses.
Society of Formula, Society of Automotive Engineers, parentheses, SAE.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Chair Shirky?
I have a question or correction that I'd like the officer to weigh on because it's electrical engineering too. Should electrical engineering be electrical and computer engineering?
Technically, yeah.
Other than that,
Senator Brown?
Is that documentary public? Like, is there a place I can watch it?
Yes, it's on YouTube, and when the PowerCat Motorsports team comes up here, they can tell you about their YouTube channel, because I don't know about that. But I know it's on YouTube, so.
Speaker Pro Tem Lee?
Can I make it a friendly amendment, Jacob, to add the president of PowerCat Motorsports, Tyler Carlgren, onto the under section 2?
Yeah.
Any other questions or corrections for the author? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 28 unanimously? Senator Biswell.
I move to approve Resolution 28.
Are there any objections? Okay, Resolution 28 stands approved. Okay, if you guys want to get a picture, you guys are welcome to come up to the front now. Thank you all for being here. There's so many of you.
Yeah, to answer the question about the documentary, it's called The Spirit of Excellence, a Formula SAE story. I can send Jacob the link and I'm sure he can get it to you guys. And also thank you for having us, and I know it takes a few minutes, but I know how much work you guys all put into Student Senate and everything, and this is what we're passionate about and what we spend all of our lives doing every day of the entire year, so we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, did you get one?
All right. Okay, we'll now move into our committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Lilly. What?
can you switch the
Oh,
resolution?
Chair Sushina. Huh?
Because she recognized Lily and then.
What?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I have a few things to report. I know I wasn't here last week. Happy Pause Day, everybody. But we saw our first SSF contract in Introduction of Legislation. My Vice Chair, Logan, I'm sure did a great job reading that out. I wanted to come up here to field any any questions that you might have preemptively, and then also give a little report and summary on how SSF functions in case there are senators in the room who might not know. So could I get a quick show of hands to see where everyone's knowledge base is around SSF? Do you feel confident that you know how the student service fee operates and where we get our revenue and how it's allocated out?
What does a show of hands mean?
Show of hands.
Okay, well, I can show you my hands. Is showing you my hands good or bad?
Affirmative. You feel very confident you know where our money comes from, and I'll breeze through this. Or there's some people that maybe don't feel so confident, and I'll spend a little more time on it. Okay, thank you all very much. And then I'll just blow right through the whole 3-year contract cycles, blah, 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 blah. So we'll be starting to see contracts coming out of the committee from the rest of the year. Those are going to stand for 3 years. We do an in-depth review once every 3 years, with the exception of the big 3, Union, Lafine, and the REC. Up this year, the REC is the main focus of our review. So from the financial side, we finally got our 20-day numbers. They look really good. We have $1,288,367 million in surplus that could potentially be allocated out this year. So we're in a very good place. That is, of course, considering that we're going to send a sizable amount of that to reserves. Our reserves are very healthy at $7.7 million in our 2 total reserve accounts. That includes debt reduction and bond surplus. So that's really exciting. We can leave that in there for another rainy day like COVID, or we can, at this point, we're far enough post-COVID recovery that we could start looking at fun projects to allocate that out towards and kind of look at a concrete, fun way to leave our legacy here on campus. This year, our total projected revenue is $16,466,151 million. So super exciting. Anyone who's been around for a while knows that we were $14 million fee when I was a freshman. We've been 15 for a while. Now we've crossed that $16 million threshold. So it's all very exciting time to be in the committee. And of course, we are still charging $489.24 per person at the beginning of every semester. The one thing that we really do need to be noting when we're looking at these contracts as a committee and as a Senate body is that we are staring down the enrollment cliff in 2030. So we are projected to be at 30,000 learners by 2030. However, those learners are not going to be full-time undergraduate traditional students that will pay into the fee. Or if you are a part-time or remote student, you will not be paying into that student services fee. So that will definitely be hitting our revenue and hitting our pockets hard. Despite universities still bringing in tuition, we will see a small decrease in fee revenue. So we really need to make sure we're being fiscally responsible and preparing for that. Are there any questions?
Chair Shirkey?
Yeah, so I'd love to know, at that strategic level with things like your 5-year planning and beyond that in scope, what methods are you looking at to prepare for that, enrollment cliff and prepare for the challenge of funding government services when a lot of the people that might potentially be benefiting from those are not paying into that fee, right? What does that conversation look like with administration, and what does that mean for the student government?
One of the fun things about that is at least when they're not paying in, that means they're far enough remote that they're probably not able to benefit from these services at all. So we're not going to have a free rider problem for anyone who kind of exists in that policy space. But looking at planning 5 years ahead, we're in a little bit of a tricky position right now as we're 4 years post-COVID cuts, where we do need to be seriously considering reallocating funds that were significantly slashed due to COVID, but also need to be careful not to reallocate too many funds, too much funds, that budget is just going to implode once again and we'll have to do massive rescissions 5 years from now. So it's kind of trying to match inflation that we have not been keeping up with for the past 3 to 4 years, while also not overextending ourselves in a way that we're going to be in a real harm's way. So this year, I think we're really looking at seeing what holes are still leaking in the ship that need to be patched up, where we can bail out water from massive rescissions that we had to do in 2020, while also definitely making sure that we're not sabotaging the next future generations with putting them in a hard position to make the hard decisions we had to make with our cuts.
Thank you.
Chair Black.
Does the enrollment cliff impact maybe the types of entities you choose to give increases to, like entities that have the ability to be decreased in the future without having to lay off full-time employees?
No, that's a very strong consideration that I hope the committee members in the room had heard, because that's a very good point. I don't think that has been brought up as a point of consideration yet, but it will definitely be something that we're talking about and something that we have talked about a lot in the past when it comes to, if we give this increase, it prevents someone from losing their job. If we do this cut, someone is unemployed from a decision that we made at 8 p.m. on a Monday night.
Any other questions? Chair Shirky, are you?
I was waiting for if anyone else.
You were waiting for, I can't hear, I'm sorry. What did you say?
In case anybody else had one, I can wait.
Oh, okay. Does anyone else have a question? Chair Shirky.
All right. So, a question on the kind of oversight and policy that these entities have from the student government. So, to my knowledge, we don't just hand out money, set it and forget it. In some of these groups, we have kind of an advisory role. Can you tell us more about the steps that your committee and the government takes to make sure that the money we spend and the people who spend it are accountable to the student interest?
The first thing that happens annually is we have audit. So we have a third-party, non-biased, nonpartisan audit that the entities help pay for that goes into auditing their financials. That report gets given to me and my advisors. For anyone in the room who doesn't know, I have 2 new advisors this year. They've been great. We switched over to a co-advisor system to try to help institute more continuity in institutional knowledge throughout the years after we've had a lot of turnover in Anderson Hall space, and especially in student government. So that has been going very well. They are obviously always in Anderson doing checks and balances, looking at spreadsheets, getting projections, and having regular meetings with our agency directors or entity directors. We use those terms pretty interchangeably. So a lot of it goes into trusting that we've hired good people to be our agency directors and our entity managers who are going to make sure that they know that these are student dollars and want to protect student interests with that. And then doing our 3-year review cycle, writing commendations, writing condemnations, whatever it may be, changing contract language to make sure that they are staying in line with what students really want that money to be going towards. So that's where you get some fun little amendments in contracts sometimes, just an extra line changed here or there to ensure compliance, as well as just maybe a gentle nudge in the direction students want to go. But audit is our biggest safety measure. I don't think it's SSF's job to go fix everyone's budget and tell an agency director how to manage their money. It's our job to give student insight and give that total budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Derek?
If I can add something, just as context, the big 3, so Levine, REC, and the union also receive funding from other business functions that help offset what the student fees will contribute. So the more we can do to build up I'll say the business functions, which is the retail stuff in the union, the memberships at the REC that are not students, the Levine services that are a little bit above normal things that are covered by the student fees, are all things that can help offset future challenges on the funding side. There's some really good, strong leaders here that are doing things that are looking at those kind of variables that help offset some of those costs.
It's a very good point. Several of our entities are revenue generating in themselves, so they're not solely reliant upon student fees and try their best not to rely too heavily on our fees and to rely on their own revenue streams. And then my last point I wanted to add to your question, the Big 3 also has 3 student advisory councils. So for REC Union and Levine, they all have their own student-led council advisory groups, UGB, the REC Council, to make sure that student voices are heard throughout the process and every step of the way.
Any other questions? All right, fantastic. Are there any other committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Lilly.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, if you go into the Teams, then you go under Legislative, you go to Files, that is where you submit the legislation. There's a folder that says Submission of Legislation, hard to miss. Please write some. I'm getting sick of editing only allocations. Other than that, legislation deadline is Monday night because Ops meets Tuesday. In extreme circumstances, we can take things up to 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday and no later than that. Other than that, the attendance policy, we're starting to get some problems with that. They quit not showing up. There's 3 unexcused absences allowed. there are 6 excused absences allowed from Senate, and then separate from that, there are 3 unexcused absences allowed from committees. Are there any questions?
Are there any other committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? Oh, I'm sorry, Maria, I don't know. Okay, Velasco.
Good evening. I am the Multicultural Affairs Director, and I just wanted to come up here to give out 2 announcements, one of which is that on Sunday, October 26th, from 6:30 to around 8:30, we have the SGA volleyball social with a bunch of organizations, multicultural organizations. This is an annual event, so you guys should definitely come out. There are going to be like drinks and snacks provided. It's going to be at the rec, at the outdoor sand pit, like volleyball courts. And another announcement on behalf of the Chief of Staff is that tomorrow the registration for the KLC Leadership for Free Expression Conference, which is a 2-day program offered by the Kansas Leadership Center, the registration closes tomorrow. It's going to take place in Wichita. I believe it's on the 7th of November. So if you guys are interested or have questions about that, just reach out to Delaney. She's the Chief of Staff. So yeah, that's it for me.
Any questions? Perfect. Thank you, Maria. I'm going to give a report real quick. Okay, I just wanted to give a quick update on 2 bills. So, Bill 252632, the allocation to Early Music Society will be in final action next week. It's currently in the Community Engagement Committee. And then, Sam, I think you mentioned this, but Bill 252635, the increase to the SPY agreement, will also be in final action next week. So. All right. This isn't on. All right, next up we have the approval of, actually, are there any other directors that would like to give a report? Oh, Director Carton.
Okay, I know it's been a little bit since I've come and talked to you guys. As a reminder, hi, I'm Benji. I'm our Director of Sustainability this year. I wanted to provide some quick updates. One about the fairy tree. We have had confirmation. We have a tree artist coming out to examine the tree to make sure that it is actually capable to be carved. And the design of this is going to be somewhat K-State affiliated due to the campus master plan that students have put in their word of having more K-State memorabilia and art across campus, and this will be a part of the walking path around campus showing that. And as a reminder, that fairy tree is between the English Counseling Service building and Hale Library. However, once that tree artist comes by and examines the tree, what's going to happen is they're going to determine it again if it's able to be carved. If not, it will get fully cut down. However, the remains of it will be repurposed for something. That is still in the works. The life of the fairy tree will not be forgotten nor ignored. Additionally, with some other things going on in some of my other initiatives, this is more of a shout out if you guys are interested in helping. If not, great, you can ignore me. Some of the initiatives include pollinator patches across campus. If that's something that you're interested in, please contact me. This is smaller patches across campus for butterflies, for other insects, to create more life and more sustainability for our grounds. Additionally, bringing sunflowers to campus. We have gotten pretty much the green light to start initiating some ideas for areas for these sunflowers. Additionally, working with faculty, staff, and administration on this. Another initiative, revitalizing the green roofs there at Memorial Field. If that is of interest, please, please, please contact me soon. That is on its rolling system. Yeah, that's about it if I remember right.
Any questions for Director Carton? All right, fantastic. Thank you. Are there any other directors that would like to give a report? All right. Chair Lilly?
I move to excuse Anna Koch and Jacob Hoffman from their duty to serve on the Senate Operations
Second.
Are there any objections? All right, all in favor of allowing Anna Koch and Jacob Hoffman to be excused from their duties, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. All right, they will be excused. Chair Lilly.
I also have a point of information because I forgot to say anything about it in my committee report. They both have class over ops and it's affecting quorum, and if we excuse them from it, it doesn't affect quorum. That's it.
Chair Black.
Point of information, how many members are on ops right now?
6.
Including or excluding them?
Excluding them.
All right, we'll now move into the approval of allocations. Is there a motion to approve the following allocations? Actually, before we do that, it is Bill 25, 26, 33, and 34. Bill 33 is the student allocation to Institute of Industrial Systems Engineers. That was referred favorably from SAC 10 to 0 to 0. And Bill 34 is the allocation to Engineers Without Borders, KSU chapter, and that was also referred favorably from SAC 10 to 0 to 0. Is there a motion to approve? Chair Shirkey.
I move to approve both allocations unanimously.
Second.
Any objections? All right, the allocations stand approved. All right, we'll move into the introduction of allocations next. Is there a motion to consider the allocations? Chair Shirkey.
I move to consider all allocations.
Second.
Okay. Will the author of Bill 252639, the student allocation to American Nuclear Society student section, please come forward? Chair Biswell.
I move to allow the author to summarize.
You don't need to do it. He can just do
Oh.
it. He just has the right to do that.
Oh.
He can choose not to.
You were on top of it, Haley. Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see, Bill 25, 26, 39, allocation to the American Nuclear Society. They are going to be going to the American Nuclear Society Student Conference in College Station, Texas, in April 15th to 19th. They requested $1,500 and they were granted that, or that's what they are recommended. Any questions?
On line 38, or no, line 28 should be 2026.
Yes. I submitted it, I put it into the submission of legislation folder, and then I realized that, and I couldn't edit it after that point, and I left a comment, but.
I didn't see it.
Rip. Okay, Bill 25, 26, 40. This is a allocation to the Interfraternity Council. Members of the IFC and some Greek Life presidents and some members of PHC will be attending the Association of Fraternal Leadership and Values National Conference in January in Indianapolis. Basically, they're going to go and hear a bunch of things about how they can be better supporting Greek life on campus. They requested $3,600 and were recommended $2,800. Any questions?
Chair Shirkey.
How did the committee arrive at that number? Was that due to membership constraints or some other event?
I'm going to direct the question to Senator Brown.
So the board members bring along some of the presidents, but we decided not to fund any of those presidents going, just the board members, and that comes out to I think it's like 14 board members, so $2,800.
Follow up.
Granted.
Why?
They asked for $3,600. Obviously, our cap is $3,000, and so I didn't want to just be like, oh, just give $3,000 just cause. So we reasoned it.
Yeah, they're the presidents are not part of the student organization, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, I guess you're supposed to say that.
That's it. All right, fantastic. Now move in. Oh, it's not on. All right, we'll now move into the introduction of legislation. Is there a motion to consider Bill 252636, the increase of the Student Governing Association's services fee agreement? Chair Lilly.
I move to consider Bill 36.
Second.
The author, please come forward. Chair Lilly.
I move to allow the author to summarize.
Second.
Any objections? Fire. Author can summarize.
Okay, I'm still gonna read through most of the whereas clauses just so we all know what's up, and then highlight any changes that are significant in the contract language. Whereas the Student Services Fee Committee reviewed the request of the Student Governing Association during the scheduled 3-year review cycle, whereas the Student Governing Association is responsible for representing the students of Kansas State University, reviewing requests for tuition and fees, allocating funding to student organizations, and numerous other tasks. Whereas the Student Services Fee allocations to the Student Governing Association supports compensation to officers as deemed by the Joint Committee on Officer Compensation, programmatic functions of each branch, member travel, and the Emerging Leaders Program, annual elections, internal audit, and promotions. Whereas tuition has increased by 11.7% since the previous SGA review in FY23. Whereas scholarships and compensation funding for SGA officers has increased by 2.4% over the same period, reducing available funding for member travel, promotions, and the Emerging Leader Program. Whereas currently, the officer compensation dollar amount varies by year, proportional to tuition changes with no limit. Whereas a cap ensures KSU SGA is unable to overspend as a result of tuition changes. Whereas a limit to officer compensation ensures a minimum amount of funding for the discretionary fund while still allowing the Joint Committee on Officer Compensation to decide the amount of compensation. Whereas the Student Services Fee Committee is committed to ensuring the financial well-being of the student services fee. Whereas the Student Governing Association presented on the impacts of a 1%, 3%, and 5% increase to their budget, as well as their ideal budget scenario. Whereas the Student Services Fee Committee deemed that a 6% increase to the Student Governing Association's budget would ensure adequate funding for both officer scholarships and compensation, as well as sufficient discretionary funding. And whereas the Student Services Fee Committee voted 8-0 to recommend the following Student Services Fee Agreement to Student Senate. And then going down and looking at contract language, nothing changes besides the dollar amounts in Section 1 and Section 10 is new. Officer scholarships and compensation shall be limited to not more than $67,000. That is new this year.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Shirkey.
Correction on line 38. The word percent is not needed because the percent symbol is already there.
I also have correction to 38. 1% incorrect, that should be 0%.
Chair Black.
Can you explain to the Senate how the breakdown of like basically how all this funding is? So is it like there's a total amount and whatever, it's like what goes to officer compensation and whatever's left over, it goes into what? I mean, I know there's the internal audit, which is fixed, but can you just explain that breakdown for the Senate?
I was hoping and dreading for an opportunity to explain this to Senate. It's a little bit complicated, so bear with me. We have our total budget, and then we have what is set aside for audit and elections, which is about $18,000 to cover that. That is a fixed amount, and then everything else up to this point was sort of in flux. We let the Joint Committee on Officer Compensation, JCOC, determine how much goes out for officer compensation, that is going to be scholarships and actual stipend compensation amounts, as well as any hourly compensation. We have established that the branch heads meet and determine the discretionary budget, which is sort of in flux from year to year. As tuition increases, the set JCOC amount stays the same since they allocate out a % of the tuition, not a % of the money that we have in the bank. So every year as tuition increases, our discretionary fund has been shrinking. And it was set up that way on purpose. That's why the discretionary fund has sort of always been in flux. It's easier financially than having a full separate reserve account set up just for SGA ourselves. Reserve accounts are kind of annoying. They're kind of difficult. So when you have a very small budget like this that's under $1 million, it's easier to just kind of leave that as a floating number. But the committee deemed this year that it would be a far better use of our time and the time of the branch heads to be able to plan what to do with that discretionary fund and not know that it's going to be in flux from year to year. So setting JCOC with a cap that they can spend up to that amount. We're not telling them how much they can or can't spend. We're simply saying you can't go past this amount. That way we know we have X left over in our discretionary fund and can kind of do some 3-year planning on how many people are going to be able to travel, and more importantly, I think how much money we can give to the emerging leaders every year and can plan out promotion year by year.
Chair Black.
Doesn't that only solve your issue to a point though? Because you still don't know what the exact amount is. You only know that you have so much money you can plan on getting. So is it really just more of like wouldn't it be just more of like an estimate of how much JCOC is going to be?
Chair Lilly, would you like to take that question?
The idea is that they allocate a dollar amount and a percent. That's why we set it fixed. It used to not be fixed because the allocation amount was floating. Now the allocation amount is fixed, so the allocation should be fixed.
But it's not fixed. It's set at up to 67,000. If they don't spend that
they will
much,
fix a portion of that to spend. We didn't want to limit them to spend the amount of money we thought they should spend, so we went over. So they will fix an amount of that to spend, and they can change that over the 3 years or whatever they want.
an amount of the 67,000.
I think I can make clarity for this. So we'll already have the JCOC report by the end of this year. So before the next fiscal year even starts, we'll know for the next 3 years exactly how much the JCOC recommendation will be. So we'll know how much up to that cap they decide to use well in advance of the next branch heads planning how big the discretionary budget's going to be, if that helps. That's the hope of doing this review before JCOC is finalized. That way we can help JCOC understand what money they have to be working with, and they'll have that done, and the next leaders coming in will know how much they have to be working with.
You can just talk to me after since I'm still not following.
Chair Shirky.
Yeah, so I get the purpose of the cap. JCOC creates its report. They're going to have, we want this percent in scholarships. And if that works out to be 56,000, we're fine. Works out to be 62,000, we're fine. What actually happens when they calculate those percentages and they say, oh, well, percentages say 68,000 total. How is that allocation reduced under this contract so that they don't break the cap that you put on them?
Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, so Phil, are you talking about the 480% like cap that historically JCOC's always been? So
The total JCOC allocation. Like what happens if the recommendation would logically lead to a number greater than the 60?
Well, JCOC isn't required to do this percentage thing, right? Like historically it has been, and from my understanding of this bill and from our conversations is, this provides the walls of which JCOC can, fill a house up with concrete, right? How much money they'd be able to allocate or would be able to use towards compensation. So there wouldn't be any overlap between the percentages and the dollar amounts because now we've switched to the dollar amount instead of the percentage. Does that make sense?
Great.
I can answer it in more of a hypothetical sense if you're just asking. We would be out of compliance with our own contract, which is bad. So we would hope that JCOC doesn't do that. But if they did, the world would not end, the sky would not come crashing down. We would certainly notice that we're out of compliance with our own contract and probably do another out-of-cycle review to see why that might have happened and see what adjustments need to be made. Rather that be pulling money out of reserves to cover whatever thing happened in that year or adjusting that cap to meet with what JCOC's demands are. So that would happen in a fringe scenario that's not impossible, that we would need to do that, is if the student body president, under our current rules, were out of state, we have to pay their full tuition at the out-of-state rate. We don't have that money currently in this budget because of the aforementioned not having a separate reserve account for ourselves. So the contingency plan in that case would be to just have the agency director or acting agency director for the year come to SSF out of review and either have us adjust the contract or get a quick, easy, one-time allocation out of that $7.7 million that we have in reserves.
Follow-up to that.
Granted.
So I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be the same, but because the JCOC recommendations are final, what happens when, their recommendation is final and official and we have to do it, and simultaneously we're not allowed to? Is it the same out-of-cycle review?
Yeah, I mean, anything to avoid being out of compliance with our own contract, but JCOC, when there isn't a cap, seems to just set a cap for themselves. So in all likelihood, that will not be the case, and we have a good advisor on that committee.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the author? All right, seeing none. Chair Lilly?
I have a point of information as to why this is where it is. The cap is not in the JCOC rules because the cap needs to be reviewed every 3 years, and that is the only reason. Otherwise, it would just be set in the JCOC rules. So they're not allowed to spend more than that per their contract.
We tell JCOC how much they get to spend, and they choose how to spend it and if to spend it, is the short and sweet way to say that.
All right, next up we have Bill 252637. Is there a motion to consider the amendment to the Student Senate Standing Rules? Senator Otto.
I move to consider Bill 37.
Okay. Are there any objections? Will the author please come forward? Everyone's so quiet.
All right, I'll see if I can put you guys to sleep. So, Bill 37, Amendment to the Student Senate Standing Rules. Author is Philip Shirkey, sponsor Joseph Lilly. Kent State University Student Governing Association, KSU-SGA, should continually update its governing documents to align with current objectives. Both the Student Allocations and Community Engagement Standing Committees, SAC and KEC respectively, will require Senate approval for allocations, and it is therefore important the Student Senate Standing Rules ensure that SAC and KEC are subject to an appropriate level of scrutiny, while also allowing the Student Senate to operate in a transparent and efficient manner. Be it enacted that Section 1, Chapter 20108 of the KSU-SGA statutes, internal measures of the Student Senate Standing Rules, allocations, shall be amended as follows. An allocation shall be defined as legislation which exclusively allocates funding to a registered student organization, which has been approved by the Student Allocation Standing Committee or the Community Engagement Standing Committee by a 2/3 majority vote in the affirmative of the respective committee members present and voting. Each allocation shall be subject to all regulations governing legislation unless otherwise provided for. Allocations be considered at 2 regular meetings unless Student Senate pass a motion to move special orders. Not allowed unless the legislation is first considered. First considerations, introduction of allocations consists of the reading of the amounts of each allocation and the entity that the allocation corresponds to as respective standing committee chair. Second consideration, approval of allocations. Student Senate may consider legislation for all allocations. Such motion is moved and seconded. Legislation for allocations may be approved with 2/3 majority vote in the affirmative, not be debated unless the motion is objected to. Allocations shall be considered an introduction of legislation not yet considered, final action if already considered, if any of the following are true. Motion to consider the legislation, introduction of legislation, or debate legislation, final action moved and seconded. Amendments to the legislation are proposed. Student Allocation Standing Committee Chair, the Community Engagement Standing Committee Chair, Senate Operations Standing Committee Chair, or the Speaker of the Student Senate move to consider or debate legislation as appropriate, which shall not require a second or vote. Section 2, legislation will take effect upon passage by the Student Senate, not Student Body President, because this is Student Senate Standing Rules.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Black.
Why did the author decide to make it a 2/3 majority for approving allocations? So
currently, the way that it works, the
doctrine behind this section of the standing rules is that when allocations are generally non-controversial and are passed by a high majority, in the status quo, we have this special rule, the introduction of allocations, where we're allowed to consider them all at once, vote on them all at once. That threshold, the theory would go, should be maintained. Can't say why, because it's not debate, but the theory is that a higher threshold than a simple majority is maintained for the allocations that are not controversial. If an allocation merits debate, if an allocation merits discussion by the Senate because it's more complex, then it's easy to move that because you won't be able to get that 2/3 majority, and instead you'll go through intro to legislation so you can debate it like you would any other bill.
Are there any other questions or corrections for the author? Chair Black.
This would just be another thing. So in F3, the way it reads now, is it saying like whoever moves to consider or debate the legislation as appropriate? Does that mean move to consider in final action, I guess?
Yes. Yeah, so that phrase as appropriate is important. We've seen cases, I don't think it's happened this year, but it's definitely happened in prior years, where, for example, SAC wrote an allocation that was out of compliance last year, and they realized it would not be possible to fix it in the intro to allocations. So the SAC chair simply raised his placard and said, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to use my magic powers and I'm going to move this into intro to legislation. He's allowed to do that because at the time it was just whenever he deems it necessary. It would still be that way in the status quo. So if a committee chair or one of the technical members of the Senate, so ops chair or the speaker, realizes, oh no, we cannot put this in intro to allocations, this needs to be fixed in legislation, they can just do it by raising their placard.
Are there any other questions for the author? All right. Thank you, Chair Shirky.
I have to stay here.
All right. Is there a motion to consider Bill 252638, the amendment to collect officer compensation data? Senator Otto.
I move to consider Bill 38.
Is there any objections? All right, the authors are forward.
Bill 38, amendment to collect officer compensation data, authors Philip Shirky, sponsors. Whereas Joint Committee on Officers' Compensation, JCOC, is a special committee that meets every 3 years to determine appropriate compensation for officers at the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, charged with studying and examining compensation levels of KSUSJ officers. Because JCOC does not meet annually, it cannot study compensation on an annual basis. They rely on data collection from former officers who may be difficult to reach and whose self-reported data may be unreliable or out of date. It is ineffective policy to force a special committee to collect data regarding a time when it is not in session. It would be more effective to assign yearly officer data collection to a Senate Standing Committee of the KSUSGA. Be it enacted, Section 1, Article 4, Section 11K3 of the KSUSGA bylaw shall be amended as follows. For context, that is the SOC, Senate Oversight Committee bylaws. The committee shall open, maintain, archive documentation of all that stuff is already there in the status quo. Section D, execute an annual survey of KSU SGA officers to collect information relevant to the Joint Committee on Officers' Compensation in consultation with the Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs. That is Dr. Lane. He's on JCOC already. This survey shall be distributed no later than March 1st of the current term. All KSU SGA officers shall complete the survey during the current term. Section E is amended. Provide reports to Student Senate on the results of surveys as needed. Section 2, Article 4, Section 11K4 of the KSU SGA bylaw shall be amended as follows. This is the oversight chair requirements. The chair shall manage the annual committee survey referenced in 3D, which has just been added. Section 3, legislation will take effect upon passage by the Student Senate, signature of the student body president.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Freeman.
So are you wanting like a separate committee besides JCOC?
No, so the way that this would work in practice, JCOC assembles every 3 years. So what happens is you start the fall, and then per our Senate bylaws, JCOC is assembled from the clay and dust of the earth. They, from that moment, have 6 weeks to track down people who graduated 3 years ago and collect a bunch of data from them that they've probably forgotten. What this does is this makes sure that the person who is in charge of JCOC, their title is Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs and Administration, is allowed to collect that data when the special committee is not meeting. They do it by bugging the SOC chair.
Parliamentarian Co.
What is relevant information in this case?
Yeah. So relevant information would be whatever the Vice President of Academic Success and Student Affairs believes is relevant. Fundamentally, currently there's already a JCOC survey that they collect when they meet, and I would advise that future governments follow that survey, but that's a question for future governments.
Any other questions for the author? Chair Lilly.
Would it be a friendly amendment to change Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs to Vice President for Student Life, who is the one that appoints the chair of the committee?
If you're confident that is the correct title, then yes.
I'm reading it, I promise.
Okay. I actually have a friendly amendment to my own one. Line 53, they technically name it as officers plural, so it's officer, there should be an S apostrophe on line 53. So Joint Committee on Officers Compensation.
Chair Suchanek.
Line 57, is it proper to say during the current term, or should we specify it's during the term in which they're serving, or is it just this year during this term?
Well, the intention is that it be conducted during the year, like during every year, and I guess I don't know if there's a better way to word that. Does the ops chair know?
What about during their term?
Sure. Yeah, that would be a friendly amendment on 56 and 57.
Any other questions? Chair Black.
In section 2, when it says, like I see when it says manage the annual committee survey 3C and manage the annual committee survey 3D, is that the correct? I know that those are referencing the old survey and then the JCOC survey. Is that the correct? Is that the correct way to phrase that as saying the committee survey?
Well, that's what it is in the status quo. So if it's wrong, we should change it with a separate legislation on both line 75 and line 80.
Yeah, I just mean that there's now 2 surveys.
Yes, that's why the letter reference is there.
Would it be more appropriate to name the survey something else for 3D?
I don't think it's particularly necessary. I suppose I'll defer to the ops chair or the parliamentarian if there's a technical reason why we should do that.
I would think it's easier to understand if you change it from annual committee survey to
Just annual officer survey, or
something that like you know what it is. I think that's
Sure.
easier to understand.
All right, so friendly amendment to change line 75 to strike the 3C parentheses and change line 80 to strike the 3D parentheses and replace the word committee with the word officer.
Say that again one more time. You want to strike 3C?
From line 75, that is correct.
And then strike 3D?
Correct.
Committee where?
On line 80, just the word committee to the word officer. Because that way there's the committee survey, that's like the general student survey. You might even maybe change committee on line 75 to student if you want to make it even more clear. It's a semantic detail, but sure.
Any other questions or corrections? All right. Thank you, Chair Shirky. All right, next up we have Resolution 252627, the recommendation to lower tuition for applied learning experiences. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 27? Chair Shirkey.
To consider resolution 27.
Objection.
Okay, it's been moved, seconded, and objected to consider Resolution 27. All in favor of considering?
Point of information.
Oh, okay, Senator Rudd.
This objection is happening because this contradicts what we passed last week, and students involved with applied learning experiences can take these courses for 0 to 5 credit hours, therefore removing the financial barrier for students. If they take it for 0 credit hours, they still get the graduation requirement satisfied, and it'll still show up on an experiential transcript.
Chair Lilly.
Point of information, you can't object in the middle of Evelyn speaking. That's just not great.
Point of information.
No.
Okay, parliamentarian code.
That's not what this is. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Well, it'll make more sense when we introduce it.
Okay, Chair Black.
Point of information, if this fails to be introduced, does that prohibit it from being reintroduced later?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, so now we will vote on whether to consider Resolution 27. All in favor, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised too. All opposed, same sign. All right, we will consider Resolution 27. Will the author please come forward?
I defer my rights to Manuel Mojado.
Resolution 252627, recommendation to lower tuition for applied learning experiences. Authors Anna Koch. Sponsors Max Black, Logan Brown, Jacob Hoffman, Matt Holzmeister, Joshua Kraus, Emma Landwehr, Mandolin Otto, Cooper Podorf, Ben Richenberg, and Samantha Sushanik. Whereas the Kansas State University KSU Student Governing Association, SGA, has expressed support for the proposed graduation requirements for applied learning experiences, ALE, for all degree-seeking students. Imperative 3 in the KSU Next Gen Strategic Plan states we will provide every degree-seeking students with applied learning experiences before they graduate, fulfilling our commitment to prior students for life beyond K-State and before starting early in their college experience. Whereas applied learning experiences, ALEs, can include internships, practicum, student teaching, and other off-campus requirements designed to connect classroom learning with professional practice. There are already ALE requirements in the College of Agriculture, Architecture, Planning and Design, Arts and Sciences, Business Administration, Education, and Health and Human Sciences. Many ALEs require students to spend significant time working off-campus in full-time or near full-time roles, often with limited or no compensation, while still being charged tuition rates equivalent to on-campus coursework. Whereas KSU's tuition structure classifies ALE credit hours as on-campus hours, resulting in students paying standard tuition despite reduced access to benefits to on-campus resources, facilities, and services during these experiences. Whereas the structure may negatively impact KSU enrollment as it creates a substantial financial burden and may discourage participants in ALEs, and whereas several peer institutions, including University of Vermont and Linwood University, offer reduced or waived tuition rates or alternative fee structures for ALE credit classes. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association recommends that Kansas State University explores and implements reduced tuition rates for a different fee or applied learning experiences, ALEs, across colleges. Section 2, KSU should evaluate current classification policies for ALE credit hours to ensure tuition and fee strategies reflect on the reduced use of campus resources. KSU SGA supports the formation of a task force including student representatives from all colleges to review existing policies
and provide an equitable tuition model for ALEs by the 2026-2027 academic school year. Section 4. Upon passage by the student senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the faculty senate president, Dr. Sarah Luley, executive director for Applied Learning Experiences, Dr. Craig Schroeder, Applied Learning Programs Administrator Maggie Billman, interim dean for the College of Agriculture, Dr. Dan Moser, dean for the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Michael McClure, dean, where was I? Thank you. Dean for the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Chris Culbertson. Dean for the College of Business Administration, Dr. Kevin Gwinner. Dean for the College of Education, Dr. Debbie Mercer. Interim Dean for the College of Engineering, Dr. Bradley Kramer. Dean for the College of Health and Human Sciences, Dr. Brad Binky. Dean for the Graduate School, Dr. Philip Payne. Dean of the Stately School of Leadership, Dr. Mary Toller. Interim Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, Dr. Davis. CEO and Dean of the Kansas State University Salina Aerospace and Technology Campus, Dr. Alyssa Starkley, CEO of the Kansas Olathe, Dr. Benjamin Wolf, Legislative Fiscal Analyst Jamie Fogel, Associate Vice President, Financial and Strategic Planning Rebecca Zecca, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Informative Margaret Moore Schroeder, Vice President for Administration and Finance Ethan Erickson, Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs, and Dean of Students Dr. Thomas Lane, Provost and Executive Director Dr. Jesse Perez Mendez, and University President Dr. Richard Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Zatko.
Line 2, tuition is spelled incorrectly.
Derek.
Just a point of order, I guess. There's actually not been any of these ALLs, applied learning, that have been approved yet. So there are no official programs or courses, according to my friend and colleague here, Craig, Dr. Schroeder. So I think we're maybe getting the cart out ahead of the horse in some of this.
So there are no approved applied learning experiences, but specifically looking at the College of Architecture and the College of Education, there are required internships and student teaching that are going to be very similar to what the ALE requirements are. And so I was actually planning on proposing something last year. I just never got around to it. And so what the idea of this is just to reduce that rate of students paying. So instead of paying the $253 or $263 now, trying to lower that rate for something that's dedicated to being off campus, where you're not going to be in classes, getting that face-to-face time with that professor, and more so working out in the field.
Chair Black.
I guess my question would be just if you know, when College of Ed students go out and do their student teaching, I Googled it, the requirements, they get 40 hours of it. What is the amount, is it they register for a class, and how many credit hours is it?
Yeah, so student teaching is its own class, and you register for 12 credit hours. So you are paying the tuition of a full-time student. However, they recommend that you do not get a job. They strongly recommend you do not get a second job on the side.
I will also add to that those student teachers being advised not to get a secondary job can make it difficult because student teachers don't get compensated for their work. And so it can be difficult to pay that full tuition if they are recommended not to get a second job to support them.
Senator Biswell.
So, I guess I'm just trying to understand, if you're just trying to send this out to, recommend that they don't require ASLs for other colleges because that's what they're trying to do, or you're just trying to recommend it for,
I'm saying I 100%.
What does the bill do, I guess?
Okay, yeah, so this is basically a recommendation.
It just sends it out to all those people to recommend stuff?
Yeah, so basically the goal of this is I agree that we should have ALEs. I think they are very beneficial. What this is recommending is that instead of paying the full tuition that you would for being on campus in classes, you're paying a lower rate if you're not actually on campus doing the same classes, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Senator Rudd.
I guess this is kind of a question, but since there's a point of information saying that there's no approved ALEs yet, how is this a relevant piece of legislation?
So ideally, this would be getting kind of ahead of it. So we support, as SGA, and I think individually, a lot of us support ALEs. And so this is trying, as we're building the framework, going into whenever it ideally is a graduation requirement, having that framework of this is what we want. Like, we want a lower tuition rate to make it more accessible for more students. And so that way, students don't have to feel as much financial burden whenever it comes to their ALEs.
Follow-up?
Yeah.
Granted.
Just a recommendation. Should you reword a bunch of your whereas clauses?
I will. I met with the ALE team earlier today, and so it was too late to change it, but I will be definitely revisiting, after our conversation, a lot of them, making sure that it is more practical for what they're actively doing and what we're looking for.
Thank you.
I would also love your help if you want to help me, but no pressure.
Chair Shirky.
I have a point of information followed by a correction for some of the questions earlier. Often, like, members of the administration will look for an official opinion from the student government, and rather than just like asking Evelyn off cycle, it can be useful to have a resolution like this and what's not binding. So we get that official statement of KSUSJ wants to do this, or KSUSJ does not care. The correction is on line 17. The quote should go before the semicolon. No, it shouldn't. Sure. I guess it shouldn't.
The quote goes after.
Any other questions or corrections? Senator Pena.
In line 38 and 39, it talks about how we have peer institutions, but aren't those peer institutions not within D1 schools?
I believe they are, but I also was talking with the ALE team, so I'm going to be looking at their specific teams and like institutions as well. So I'm going to be planning on changing those out after that conversation today.
Senator Zacko.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
I was not raising this.
Okay, you're fine. Senator Halstead.
So, in the resolution, it states that it's already student teaching, already all these things. I'm wondering how that's relevant if that's already implemented into the coursework and there hasn't been a tuition decrease for that in the past. Why is it necessary now?
I think because I know, Mandolin can talk in the education side. I know a lot of people in the College of Architecture who are actually not doing internships because they simply cannot afford to take them. So because there's not going to be any internships around where they live or in Manhattan dedicated for their major, they have to travel, which means they have to pay for rent, and whatever compensation they're getting, it's either going towards school or for necessities that they need, like food or rent.
Question for a follow-up.
Granted.
Okay, Dr. Schrader can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that so like a senior project for engineering, that's an ALE. Like design projects, research, those are all ALEs, so I'm kind of confused as to how, like where the like line of reasoning is to where this becomes a whole other thing that they have to add like a whole new applied learning experience. Am I correct about that?
Permission to speak?
Granted.
Yeah, so colleges will be able to put forth whatever they want in terms of getting it approved as an ALE. So nothing is approved currently, so there's nothing for us to draw on. But yes, it could be a design course, it could be an internship, it could be on campus, it could be something that you choose to do off campus. They cannot technically force you to do anything outside of your program, so they can't force you to go off campus to do an internship unless it's already been approved within their program and with K4. So just I'm trying to make it as equitable as possible and willing to work with everyone here on that goal moving forward. So whatever comes out of this, we are still willing to entertain those thoughts, and my goal is to make sure that everyone has access to all ALEs, whichever ones they want to, whatever that means. But we have to do it in a way that's sustainable as well for the university. So.
Chair Black.
So I guess what I think about is if you have your ALEs, and for some of them that would be like more larger in credit hours and stuff like that, because if you have something that's larger in credit hours, what would be like, do you see that more of just, since you need your 120 minimum hours to graduate, right? Do you see them like adding in other classes there or reducing the credit hours in those ALEs or something like that, in order, I don't know, just say to collect the full 120 hours worth of tuition? That makes sense?
I think I understand what you're getting. So basically, I kind of want to refer back to Dr. Schroeder. But also we were talking about like the more credit hours, like the more like involved, like the more like reports you'll have to do, the more like feedback you should hopefully be getting. But as far as that goes, I think that's going to depend on the college and the department. I'm not entirely sure on that, so I'll refer that to Dr. Schroeder.
Permission to speak again?
Granted.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think what we're talking about is we want these to be valuable experiences, and maybe that the ones that exist currently are not valuable or not worth credit hours if you're just being sent off campus and no structure around it. So we want to work to make sure that there's really educational value in those things. So we will work to do that. I know that in the case of student teaching, which I went through as well, you know, you're paying and you're going out and working, right? And so it feels bad, right? It feels like you're being ripped off. And so I want to work on that and figure out how do we get students paid for those things. Ultimately, we want to find internships where you get paid and you get credit. And so I've been trying to work with faculty on that. You can get credit and get paid simultaneously. One is academic and one is for the work being done. So I'll work tirelessly to try to figure out how we can do that so that we can bring you income and bring you academic credit and get you out the door even faster than you are now. So I think that's kind of where Anna is going. She wants to make sure she has value for what's being done. And if you're just being sent off campus and there's no real structure and you have to pay for credit hours there, then it probably feels really bad as a student that you're having to pay for that experience and not getting in order to get credit for it. So our office is wanting to work with you, wanting to work with everyone on campus to make sure that we are having valuable experiences and that your tuition dollars go to pay for those things that are valuable.
Any other questions or corrections for the author? All right. Thank you, guys. All right. So with that, we will move into our second open period. Are there any second open period speakers tonight? Senator Pena.
Okay, so as I came up like a couple weeks ago, we talked about how we're going to get Senate more involved and find ways that we can all have fun together outside of Senate chambers. And I've got the request, all of the feedback in. There's quite a few people that voted. I was pretty impressed. I can't lie. Keep your emails, out there. I will be sending some follow-up emails regarding some things that we might want to go about doing, and who maybe wants to help host and plan those events. So please, 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 if you see an email from me, make sure you respond and at least read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pena. All right, any other, Senator Zacko.
Sit down.
Okay, so I'm sure none of you guys can guess what I'm up here for. Emerging leaders. Our last week of classes A and B is this Monday, and that will be in the business building. We're having a LeadX workshop hosted by the Blue Key members and an ice cream social. So not to say like if you want ice cream, show up at the business building, but if you want ice cream, there will be ice cream in the business building. So with that, interviews for phase 2 are starting next week. And all phase 2 mentees will need a mentor. So keep an eye out for a mentor sign-up sheet. We have 26 currently eligible. After next week, I'm projecting 29 eligible for phase 2. So those that get into phase 2 will need a mentor. So if it's on your heart to mentor a phase 2 mentee, you really should, because that's how we grow the future of SGA. So if anyone has any questions at all, shoot. Oh, okay. There's questions.
Senator Pena.
What kind of ice cream?
So I would like to say call hall, but we can't do that. So I'm just going to get several different kinds, and then I have to get some dairy-free options because we have a couple of non-dairy people in Emerging Leaders.
Senator Carey.
Will there be any toppings of this ice cream bar?
Yes.
Senator, or Chair Shirkey.
About the mentees, are we supposed to be excited to mentor them, or are we supposed to be scared?
I personally, these, I don't want to call them kids, but like these Emerging Leaders participants, I love them. Like, they are great people. They are very eager and go-getter, and I think that broadly there is a lot of personalities represented. So there is a perfect match for all of you, I'm sure, because there's a lot of different personalities, backgrounds, educational fields represented in both of the classes. So I would really encourage you guys to apply for that when that form comes out. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Fantastic. Thanks, Katie. All right. Are there any further second open period speakers? Chair Lilly.
I also forgot to say this during my committee report, and I haven't had a chance to say it while he was here, but shout out again to Wyatt Brown for filling the hardest caucus to fill in the
All right, any further second open period speakers? All right, seeing none, we'll move into Senate shoutouts. Take it away, Lee.
Yay! Senate shoutouts. Today, we have 42 responses. Okay. Shout out to Logan. Stop spitting them. Shout out to Logan's shirt. Logan, I like your shirt. Give me your shirt. It's a very cutie little shirt. We will find you something else to wear. What are you wearing? Oh, is it like one has those matches?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Can you stand up and
Yeah,
show?
can you stand up and spin? Such a nice shirt. Where did you get it? Oh.
Wait, my sorority does a cutie of the week, so we should start doing an SGA cutie of the week. You can stand up and strut down the aisle.
Great. Shout out to my friend and colleague here. Yes. Rip Call Hall. Shout out to me. Never forget that I'm that I'm mommy's little meatball. Great. Shout out to everyone having old man hearing. Shout out to Point of Information. Do y'all know that clip of Eric Mays? You know who Eric Mays is, like the councilman from Detroit? Point of Information. Rest in peace, King. He died. Yeah, from Flint. I know he died. He died. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll do a second open period about Councilman Eric Mays someday soon. Shout out to. I'm wondering how that's relevant. Yes, Diva, eat that question up. Shout out to Andrew being handsome. Oh, thank you. So kind. Shout out to 6-7 tonight. Shout out to No Senate on Halloween. Let the Senators Party. If you want to avoid absences, cancel for Halloween. # Mental Health Matters. Shout out to How Is This a Relevant Piece of Legislation? I love me a sassy question on the floor. Shout out to Resolution 26-7. Shout out to Anna fielding a lot of hard questions with poise. Shout out to Pink Bandanas. Shout out to the ops chair slowly and dramatically shaking his head no. Shout out to dairy-free ice cream. Shout out to Points of Information tonight. Shout out to Purple Pride ice cream. Give me some. And cherry cocoa crunch, please. Caramel crunch, please. Oh. What? Is that one? Yeah, that's very good. Shout out to Director Cardigan, the tree art director, for his flawless floral focus. Shout out to Joseph for being human AI. Shout out to the Ice Cream Social. Shout out to getting our carriage ahead of our horses. Where's my big, handsome, rugged cowboy when I need him? Shout out to Maria's hair. Maria, you always have great hair. Shout out to Clay and Dust of the Earth. Shout out to Philip. I don't think anyone is counting questions asked per term, but I know a winner when I see one. Game recognizes game, bruv. Shout out to... I can't ask that one. Shout out to Max stealing Evelyn's line. Shout out to Questions of Privilege. Great. Stop submitting them. You sent me to the top. Shout out to Questions of Privilege. Great job with points of information tonight, but we should bring back Questions of Privilege once again. Shout out to the ops chair, loves them and gives them a try. Shout out to Joseph's computer dying because of all the changes he has to make, even it's over it. Shout out to KU Hate Week, no set on Halloween to boost community and mental health. Shout out to Joseph for getting everything from the report. Where's Jacob's report over the band he is not in? Shout out to Ice Cream in the business building. Shout out to Tanya's drawing skills. Hashtag should have been an art major. Shout out to KU Hate Week, what even is a Jayhawk? Shout out to the Louvre heist. I think it was the Penguins. Shout out to Senator Biswell for trying to talk. Shout out to Andrew reading the shout outs too fast with no comedic time in. I guess I, Andrew, am just not funny. I'm just reading it off the script here. Shout out to bandanas. If you're wearing one, you're very cute and cool. Shout out to Wyatt Brown. Play Gimme 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 a Man After Midnight. Shout out to ABBA. I really like Led Zeppelin. I really hope they play Led Zeppelin at Tubby's tonight. Shout out to Club Tub. Shout out to Mommy Little Meatball. I love you, Andrew. Please. Shout out to Andrew letting me meet Dr. Trace. Sidebar, Drew Mickey here met his idol, Dr. Trace. He got to meet him at the, whatever it was called, the Stout Center thing, fundraiser. It was really cool, so glad you got to meet DT. And I just wanted to give a personal shout out to all of our new senators. I know it's really hard to add on new commitments, especially in the middle of the semester, so I really appreciate you guys for standing up and joining us. And we're happy that you guys are here, so thanks so much.
Chair Sushana.
I know second open period is over, but can I talk about Halloween, or do you want to talk about it?
Sure, go ahead.
I will be quick. I'll give it a little job up here.
I'm going to be done before 9, so.
Okay, super fun thing for culture. Next week, everybody, wear costumes. Yes, we will be here on the Thursday of Hall weekend. Very sad. However, quicker we come in here, have a good attitude, get done about it, we can go have pizza and fun back at my place. I've offered to host, so post-Senate, come get soda and pizza and stuff at my place. We'll say something about it in the group chat. So come ready to have fun next week, but come ready to work hard. That way we can go have fun, wear cute costumes, and we'll take pictures, and it'll be really, really cute and fun.
Yay, how exciting. Thank you so very much. All right. We're so close to being done. Are there any further second open periods? Hey, let's limit crosstalk in the chamber. Everyone. Guys, seriously. What?
Gavel.
Gavel.
We're not done. Are there any other second open period speakers? Okay, for reference of legislation, 25, 26, 39, and 40 will be referred to student allocations. 25, 26, 36 will be referred to SSF, and resolution 27 will be referred to Senate Exec. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Really? All right, come on.
We gotta do roll
What?
call. We gotta do roll call.
Oh.
I was ready to go too.
Yes, Philip.
Refer 38. Is that getting referred?
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
ops, or-
Yes, 37 and 38 will be referred to the Senate Operations Committee.
Okay. Alvarez.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Miswell.
Here.
Brown Logan.
Here.
Brown Wyatt.
Here.
Carey.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Dunn. Dominguez. Erickson. Freeman. George. I'm assuming he's still here. Griffith. Grushenker. Halstead. Heller. I got you, Milo. Hernandez. Holmes. Hoffman. Kramer. You're here? Oh, good. Karuna Rathna.
Here.
Kraus. Jacobson.
Here.
Hassan Shakib.
Here.
Landwehr.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Loeb. Mickey, Mitchell, Olingunju,
Here.
Otto,
Here.
Pena, Perry, Prey, Rafferty, Richburg, Richenberg, Rogers, Rudd, Scarborough, Shellhaze, Shirky, Shasavari, Springer, Sushanik, Till, Trump, Woodley, Zacko. Did I miss you?
Yeah.
Ah, probably gotcha.
All right, is there a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Chair Lilly.
Until same time, same place.
Okay, so moved.
All in favor, raise your placards now. All opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.